Evening, one and all. Another Traffic Talk podcast fan review. I hope my colleagues have got the link out to everyone as quickly as possible. But a great night for Man United in the end. Didn't make it half easy on ourselves, but a 2-0 win away from home against Granada sees us in a commanding position for the second leg, albeit without 5 key players, 3 of them who got booked tonight in McTominay, Shaw and Maguire. Will not be playing next week, and I want to hear from you guys the questions regarding whether you think the referee made the right decisions tonight. Was he over the top with a few of the yellow cards he gave, which I feel were very harsh in some cases, but others I felt were deserved. It did take away a bit of United's, I would say, ideally ability to press on in the game, and unfortunately kind of ruined it for a spectacle. Granada didn't offer very much, and in the end it sort of played it really just played as out as we saw it. We deserved the win in the end and command our advantage on to next week Thursday. An opportunity for Alexa, Twanzebe, Tellez and Kota start next week. We'll get more and more into it as the night goes on. I do have guests coming in the show as well, but you can join too. The link of our StreamYard is on the Traffic Talk Twitter feed. You can hop in and join us through the show, and I'm happy to take any of your thoughts, even questions about tonight's game and what you hope for in terms of a much more important game. Now we've sort of sealed hopefully our fate in the Europa League. A much more important game against Tottenham on Sunday afternoon. So, without further ado, let's get it going, shall we? Alexi, as always, regular on the show, is waiting in the windows, and here he is. Hello, Alexi. Lovely to have you on again.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it was.
Well,
a weird game, wasn't it? It was.
We got there in the end.
Yeah, great result. It's just the whole game just felt weird, like the streaker and not actually getting to see the first goal wasn't great. I don't know if it was the same. Guessing we watched on the same TV network.
We did watch it on the similar provider. Here in the UK, we have BT Sport, but I'm sure everyone in the world will have had the same world feed. And unfortunately, the Spanish director had a bit of a nightmare, deciding to focus on a Granada attack just as United were about to score the goal. And we completely missed Lindelof's fantastic ball over the top into space for Rashford to delicately poise himself and finish it exquisitely past the goalkeeper.
It was
weird.
It was a bit like when you're at a match and you really need the toilet, so you just run, like when you think everything's fine, and then you just hear that cheer when you're in the toilet, and it's because I was just sat there and I kind of blinked and we'd scored, and I was really confused. But obviously, once we actually did get to see it, great goal, absolutely stunning goal. The pass from Lindelof was exactly why we play Lindelof, because his passing range is superb, and the control from Rashford and the finish, and 20 plus goals in consecutive seasons. He's the first player since Wayne Rooney in 08-09 and 09-10, I believe, to do that.
Fantastic achievement for him.
Incredible. And all of this when he looks like he's got one ankle. I mean, I hate to bring up criticisms. One of my criticisms would be I just think we need to rest him more, basically. I think he needs to be managed a bit better, because I just don't want him to get a really bad injury again, because Rashford always looks on the brink of kind of breaking. But regardless of that, he played really well. Obviously, it wasn't the most enthralling game, but, I was thinking at 1-0, God, it's weird that we're winning 1-0 and I'm a bit disappointed. And then it got to 2-0 and you go, fair enough, brilliant result in Europe, And it's not easy to beat, teams away who sit back, regardless of the standard of them. We see it every week in the Premier League. Everybody struggles against teams like Burnley, who just sit behind the ball. And obviously, this competition, you can't take it for granted. Look what happened to Spurs in the last round. Lost to Dinamo Zagreb. Look what happened to Arsenal tonight, which, the team they're playing it's awful what they've been doing, but I won't go into that. But it's a really, really, really good European result, and it sets us up for, hopefully, fingers crossed, yet another semi-final. And we do need to win this one, don't we?
Absolutely. I mean, I did that multi-screen thing again tonight, and I had my eyes across 3 of the games. I could, BT wanted us to do more than put more than 3 games on at the same time without any lag on the internet. So I thought I have to sacrifice one of the other. And it was a Zagreb game against Villarreal, so I haven't seen a lot of that game. But I watched Arsenal's game against Slavia, and the performance that Roma put in against an Ajax team that looked devoid of confidence a little bit after missing a penalty. Tonight, for us, though, I think what showed is that we are still more or less favourites to win this competition, and by a long shot, no, because of the fact that we went away from home, again in Spain, and won by a convincing margin, albeit a bit doggedly, would you say?
Yeah, it was quite a scrappy, quite boring game, to be honest. It wasn't that entertaining. But ultimately, the result, especially in these kind of scenarios, in an away game in Europe, a 2-0 win away from home is a really, really good result, And it puts us into a position where we come back to the game at Old Trafford and it's all but done, It's all but done. And we would have taken 2-0 before, and just because it is a, presumably weaker opposition, doesn't take away from the fact it's a really good result. And
absolutely.
It's interesting to me. I mean, I'm interested to hear your opinion on this. Do you think we got those yellow cards for those players on purpose? Because it's very convenient to me that the game they're missing, in fact, is a home game against Granada, which obviously they didn't know at the time, but was presumed to be a game that wouldn't be that important, meaning their yellow card thing will be completely cleared for the semi-final and the final.
It would have.
What your opinion is on.
It would have been cleared anyway, because naturally rules are in UEFA competition, you tend to have your yellow cards wiped out after the quarterfinal anyway. So even if you do get suspended for the second leg, you tend really not to be too fussed about it anyway, because sometimes it's one of those catch-22 scenarios where, okay, I get booked, I miss the second leg anyway, but I know my yellow card, if I wasn't booked in this game anyhow, I wouldn't have missed the second leg anyway, because the semi-final would have been when my old cards are wiped out. And then, yeah, I feel that United tonight were stiffed a little bit by the Portuguese referee, Artur Diaz. He didn't he didn't cover himself in glory. I think it was more just playing to the play. I would like to say he wasn't, but he looks like he was playing to the cameras a little bit and trying to more or less. I don't want to make it look like he was doing that, or it doesn't sound like he was doing that, but it did look like he was playing a little bit more in favor on the opposition a bit, yeah. And the fact
we literally got so many yellow cards, and they just kept fouling and kept fouling. And
that's 5 to be precise, by the way. 5 yellow cards tonight, and 3 of them were players who were already booked and won't play next week. Whereas the other 2, which were Matic and Pogba, both of them were, I believe, normal yellows. So they won't miss the game at all. So we have Pogba at least next week if we want to use him. But Maguire next week is a miss. However, it's, I think, well overdue rest for him. So that is kind of like, you didn't want it to happen because he says so much about wanting to play football and continuing to, represent United with all he can. That little moment there tonight, I think, just demonstrates that next week he may be less worried about getting a rest than he would have been after the way this evening went, because we are now in a commanding position and can sort of be flexible next week. Obviously no bye because of COVID-19, unfortunately, and we're going to really lean a lot more on Axel Tuanzebe next week, because he will start the game no matter what, and unless Bailly comes back from Ivory Coast in time.
COVID,
he has COVID-19, unfortunately. And hopefully he's okay. I'm sure he is. But just in the off chance that he does, get a negative test and can come back to England in time, I'm hoping that if he isn't, give Axel a chance, because against Sociedad he scored unfortunately but didn't get to keep the goal. However, he played a very good game and deserved so much more than just the clean sheet that night. It will be a big opportunity for him and Alex Tellers, who appeared this evening after Shaw got booked, but I think Shaw's substitution was a precaution.
Yeah.
Again, though, it's
3 days. It's crazy.
Yeah, a big game, of course, because Spurs need to beat United if they're realistically going to still be in the Champions League hunt. Whereas for us, if anything, beating Tottenham will more or less cement our place in next season's competition. So we can sort of I don't want to say that we don't have to win the game, but we can afford to draw this match. Yeah. We can afford to draw this game and sort of think of it as a way of, saying we're still good away from home in the Premier League. Yes, we lost our overall domestic run, but the one thing we've been good at this season is the Premier League away form, and we're still unbeaten in that front. So if we can keep doing that.
If we draw or beat Tottenham, we won't have lost a single away game against the top 6, which is pretty impressive. I completely agree. I really want to win the game, but it's one of them where if we were to draw, it really wouldn't be the end of the world. Because league-wise, I think we said this yesterday, didn't we? But league-wise, the season does kind of feel all but wrapped up now. I don't want to jinx it. But, I mean, if anything, kind of the next 2 games haven't got, a great deal of pressure going into them, really. Because, Tottenham's a big game, obviously, and we all want to win it. We all want to beat Mourinho, and it's Tottenham. Lads, it's Tottenham. But, that game and then the Granada second leg feel quite kind of... I don't want to jinx it, but you get what I mean. They feel quite kind of tame compared to, certain games we've had in the last few months.
Mm-hmm. I agree, and we do have I would like to say, the cards are sort of playing in our favour a little bit now, and we can sort of start to focus a lot more on Sunday. If Solskjaer wants to take it seriously, I'm sure he wants to have a measure of revenge against Mourinho for the nature of the original game in the earlier part of the season. And if they're up for it, the boys, great. I'd love for us to get 3 points there, but I'm not as bothered now about that game as I am, because really the Tottenham have to go all out to win it. And while they will have a near full strength side to pick from, obviously, and I'd say the same is for us, it's more about how we treat the game. Because we've done the job tonight, we don't really have to worry all that much about next Thursday unless the absolutely ridiculous happens and we go 2-0 down in the first 15 minutes. Then we have a whole new problem, which I personally believe we cannot afford under any circumstances to get ourselves dug into. Ultimately, it is, it can't happen, but you just don't know with football, obviously. Tonight was a weird game, as you said, and let's focus on it a bit more. Because of how United played this evening, I thought we would more or less hope that the team we're playing against would try and do that thing they like doing in Spain, get out, play on the front foot, and sort of suppress United a lot in this match. They didn't, ultimately, and when we took the lead through some brilliance, my fear was, naturally, Spanish teams tend to keep the ball or sit back a lot, and we'd be experienced enough on Premier League games to know how to break them down. From your viewpoint, as we discussed yesterday, they were going to be a difficult team to beat because of the fact they have such a, they do concede a lot of goals and concede a lot of penalties, as we've seen tonight. But from your point of view, did you expect us to be, for a long time, worried by their advances at all? Because it looked it.
Yeah, to be honest, I was kind of sat there thinking, every time we play a team like this, they always play well. But even when they were going forward, I just didn't really think they were going to score, to be honest. They didn't look that threatening. They had a bit of the ball and they had some good phases in the game, but I just wasn't that worried, really. I mean, it was kind of more, the thing I was worried about was that we weren't creating a lot at all for large proportions. And obviously, if you come away with a 1-0 win against Granada after you've used the strongest team, you're going, it's good. It's a good result, but you're thinking should have been a bit more. 2-0, absolutely fine. And obviously we did have other chances like the Fernandez one, which I thought was in. And Ollie and Van der Beek's reaction to that was very good. And then we had I would have loved it if this gone in a Maguire special, you know. He did a few step overs outside the box and he unleashed his inner pulse goals and you just saw it flying and you're thinking, if this goes in, I might join that streaker, you know. Like, it was just giving me, you know, Tranmere vibes. But yeah, I think overall, like, I'm probably being a bit disrespectful to Granada. I just felt like it was one of those games that we have in the Premier League where a team just kind of makes it difficult for us, but isn't really that threatening, to be honest. Like,
I agree. I'm sure tonight we'll play on more or less some fans' minds as a way of saying, okay, we've done the job. We kind of, if we want to take Spurs seriously on Sunday, we can. But I'm not fussed if this Sunday, as I said, I'm not fussed by such result. I just wanted United to get out with a clear advantage and more importantly, keep a clean sheet because of how much, you know, seeing the other results there, which I'll show across the screen shortly, because of the sheer number of teams that didn't keep clean sheets at home tonight. Only 8 teams left in the competition, but Arsenal and Ajax failed to keep clean sheets at home. And both were leading in their matches, which I found to be incredibly bizarre. A lesson that United have learned this season from the Champions League is in this competition that they've done so well so far is to not get beat and also when winning games, not concede. So they're taking that domestic ability away from home into Europe. And it's really giving, it doesn't matter what opposition we're playing against, but it really gives them a hard time.
Yeah. And it's basically the perfect way to approach a game like this, isn't it? You know, I think, because it always used to be the thing of even like a 1-1 draw away was thought to be quite good. But now we're winning 2-0 away, you know, and 4-0 away against Sociedad and 1-0 away against Milan. We haven't actually conceded an away goal in the Europa League. And is the only goal we've conceded in the Europa League so far was that header against Milan, wasn't it?
It was the last minute equaliser that night. And we thought, oh, God damn it. That ruined our plans for next week. And we kind of have to go for it now against them in the second game. Yeah, it was very inconvenient, but we got there in the end.
Yeah, but the fact we've only conceded 1 goal in this competition is pretty impressive, considering, like I said earlier, Spurs shipped 3 in 1 game somehow. And yeah, like I'm just looking, like Ajax conceding 2 at home, obviously Zagreb conceding at home. But I mean, on a kind of separate point, everyone's kind of going on about how, I don't want to play Arsenal. Is it kind of a crazy thing to say that you'd maybe rather play Arsenal than Villarreal because Villarreal are a better football team than Arsenal? Arsenal are 10th in the Premier League. We were very kind of, well, I was definitely very kind of confident about playing Granada, and they're 9th in La Liga. Arsenal are 10th in the Premier League. They've been 10th for a year, consecutively 10th. They're not a good team. I just don't think we should fear them that much. I know, you know, we have lost to them this season and stuff, but I think people kind of underestimate Villarreal, and obviously, I think Villarreal are a better side than Arsenal, and also they've obviously got Unai Emery as well. So, and also, I think Roma are better than Arsenal, or Ajax are better than Arsenal, personally. So I find it kind of strange, this idea that it's like everything's fine, whatever game we get is fine, other than if we play Arsenal, because it's I guess it's just a bias for the English teams, but I just don't understand it, because all these European sides are a lot better. Probably Dinamo Zagreb are better than Arsenal. Arsenal aren't a good team, and I think a problem we've got is like kind of underestimating like a Roma or something. I think it's a really silly thing to do, because they're still a good team. They've got a lot of good players in there, you know.
Old friends of ours as well, and they didn't play tonight. That's the switch, because they were both injured, unfortunately, Mkhitaryan and Smalling, but also a lot of Premier League experience with the two of them there. Pedro as well. They have a good core of Italian talent there. they're not like us in some ways. In fact, not really like United. I'd say most teams are not full strength, and they're one of those they're a side that isn't at full strength. They don't have their key men, as I mentioned, of this morning, the Mkhitaryan's, the Zaniolos, who's one of the best young players in the world right now, who picked up an injury in the international period this season. He's someone who I think could have been a big difference for Milan in the long run. But ultimately, it didn't seem to happen in that moment. So that's one thing I would take into account. Another thing I would take into account is, based on what I've seen tonight, United will feel like anyone they play against will be a tough game, regardless of who it is. Yeah. And I feel like your point regarding Arsenal as well is something to take into consideration. They are they're a hot and cold team on some days, and then they can really turn it on when it matters. And the FA Cup semi-final and final last season were two very good examples of that. It's why
that's 2 games in about 3-4 years. I mean, under Arteta, broadly, they've been crap, to be honest. Like, the trend for Arsenal under Arteta is they lose or draw pretty much every week. His win percentage is appalling. And the actual players he has at his disposal, to be fair to the guy, aren't very good either. And he seems to get all this he seems to get lauded constantly, like in the press and stuff. And I don't really get it personally, because I don't know. I don't. Maybe I'm being too dismissive of them. Maybe you're right in the sense that they're capable in a one-off game of producing something.
Yeah.
But overall, as a footballing side, I can't honestly. I might be wrong. I guarantee they don't get to the final. They only just beat Olympiacos over 2 legs. I can't see them beating Slavia over 2 legs. I mean, I can't even see them beating Villarreal over 2 legs either, because, like I said, Villarreal are a better side than them. Obviously, the worry with them is, I think unofficial pundits said this the other day, that Arsenal have become a bit like Blackburn used to be for us. Like, kind of just like a bogey team. Or like Swansea a few years ago, just a bogey team where Mikel Arteta gets his setup right or something. Yeah. So I don't know why I've gone on a rant about Arsenal.
I understand your fears are more inclined to be placed on them just on the fact that we don't get them every season, get wins over them every season. As we've obviously established, the last 4 games against Arsenal have been 2 defeats and 2 draws and 2 defeats in the Premier League. We've not played them in cup competitions since, if I'm not mistaken, the Champions League semi-final 2009, FA Cup semi-final quarter-final 2015, when Welbeck broke in and scored.
Yeah. Those 4th round, was it?
It was quarter-final. 2019, we beat them. We beat them in 2019. I'm just making sure I don't miss any in between. But it looks like in cup competitions we've played Arsenal and done well in some and failed in others. But under Solskjaer, he's just not beaten Arteta. And I can see why your fears are misplaced. And I'm inclined to agree. If they do get past Slavia and whoever they meet in a semi-final between Zagreb and Villarreal, should they get there and we make it through our semi-final, I know I don't want to be dismissive of it already because, again, funny old game this, but I don't want to think that United has just done yet until the second leg's final whistle's gone, because you don't want to. You want to win. You want to get through it with no trouble at all. But I don't want it to be a drab 0-0 one in like we did against Real. Sociedad, sorry. I want it just to go through the motions, get a goal or 2, make sure the French players understand the opportunity they're getting next week. Obviously not because they're getting it on reward. They're getting it because they key men won't play next week. I'd rather they go for it and not be under real pressure. Just play your football, try and get a goal or 2, make it comfortable, and ensure that you don't let them come back into the game. After we get through that, we see what happens, because you don't know with how the Europa League will go. We don't play Arsenal again we haven't played Arsenal this season more than twice. So we only have so much data about them. But when we look at their Europa League run and the match, such as the game against Olympiacos at their home and tonight, there's a lot of data that proves, or evidence that proves, that there is something United could do to stop them in the final. But even still, I don't have wholesale confidence that will be easier. It'll be an easy game, as many make it out to be.
I think, do you know the kind of problem with it for me is when we play City, Ollie's tactics and Ollie's game plan focuses on stopping Guardiola. And you could say that probably when we play Liverpool as well, because I think we've done quite well against Liverpool this season. When we play Arsenal, the onus, I think, switches to Arteta. And it's then Arteta trying to stop us. And it's a difficult mindset to go into a game in, because you're kind of thinking, what are they going to do to stop us? Right? Because obviously we will do stuff to stop them. But if we get Arsenal in the final, I can't see it being like a game where we've really kind of gone out of our way to stop them from doing things. You know, I think we'll focus on ourselves a lot more and about how we can probably break them down, rather than like against City, where you get a full tactical blueprint about how to, you know, beat the press and how to time your press, and, you know, every small detail of that game plan Ollie had against Man City was perfection, obviously shown by the fact Dortmund used it. But I think Arsenal was just a bit of a weird one, because it's kind of like they're going to be the ones stopping us, which obviously changes the onus on it in a bit. And it's going to be like that against Tottenham on Sunday. I think our plan will be broadly kind of fairly attacking, to be honest. And I just think, obviously, unless both teams sit back, but we know Jose Mourinho, what he's going to do, because he knows we're not the best against a low block. He's going to put all his defenders in the penalty area, have Kane and Son there, and just say, sit back, lads, and try and counter them. That's exactly what's going to happen on Sunday.
I mean, look, we've got really nothing to lose on Sunday in reality, simply based on the fact that we're currently, when evaluating it, we're currently in a comfortable position. There's no real risk to United going out and not going out against Tottenham, getting a point and sort of cementing our position in the top four, because we're really not going to threaten Man City, unfortunately, as much as I'd like us to. It just seems that it is a stretch too far this season with the way they came back through the small period earlier on, didn't look too good, went on a winning run. United stopped that winning run just a little bit, but they're still motivated. They're by far a good enough team. Really, my only hope with United against them next season is if we do strengthen this summer, we tend to improve not only our defense, our deep line midfield, and the right wing, but we also try and learn a lot more about where we are weak and stop letting stuff like those free kicks we concede in the last minute against Everton, for example, or the little mistakes we make in midfield. About just improving stuff that you can control rather than the things you can't. If a team's better than you on the night, fair enough, it happens. But calamitous performances like the Leipzig game or the 6-1, for example, are matches that I think United need to kind of avoid having next season if they are to not only challenge for the title, but to also be able to be a threat in all the other competitions. So there's a lot to learn this summer. So
that's probably why, though, on Sunday, I think it always happens. It happened with Southampton, Leicester, didn't it? Where if a team absolutely batters the other team, the team who loses tend to win the next time. I think after the 9-0 Southampton-Leicester, Southampton won the next game. And I think you know, we're going to want revenge. But you are right. Like, it's overall, we've been quite good this season, but there has just been some complete clangers that have just completely led us astray. Like you said, like the 6-1 against Tottenham, the Istanbul game, the Leipzig game. But I think on Sunday, what more motivation do the players need? And it's Mourinho. They beat us 6-1 last time. Like, what? Do you know what I mean? It's kind of ready-made on a plate, isn't it? To just... His team talk can be just showing them the last game against Tottenham.
Just do that all the time for 90 minutes and then we'll win the same way we did the first time. No, I think Solskjaer will have not only prepared for this game on top of the game tonight, obviously, because he will have cared just a bit more about exacting a measure of revenge, but last season against Tottenham it was the first game of the restart. I remember when we went there, we didn't play very well for a period of the game. Spurs took the lead through an error from David De Gea and Harry Maguire. Both both leading to both our scoring.
Well, that was bad.
And it was the night Roy Keane had that. Oof, we don't want to think about that one in anytime soon. But because if you're wondering why I'm looking at this, I'm watching the highlights of all the other games now. But what I found fascinating was the way we came back in that match. We created chances. There was the first time Fernandes and Pogba played together in the United team. And it was a very, very good sign of things to come for United. And it showed they played again together tonight. I'm sure if Oli wants to, he'll do it again on Sunday, more or less as well. I wanted to do it with no Rashford in the team, just so that we can see what impact Pogba has against a sort of frail fullback, right back in terms of Spurs, because they don't have a strong right back. I know that for sure. Seeing them play this season, they've had a lot of players who've filled in there. Doherty, Aurier. Occasionally, there's one of the centre halves fills in, so it's Rodon or Dyer playing at right back. Whenever anyone plays there, they struggle. So United could exploit that area again if they wanted to. But another thing I find with Spurs is they always play the same formation week in, week out. Yeah. Jose is naive enough not to change it. And the last match I've seen Spurs play with my own eyes was against when they had their 2-0 advantage against Zagreb before bottling it completely. It was when on that night they looked a lot more clinical, a little bit more fluid, especially with different personnel in the team. This is without Bale, Son played, I think. Yeah, no, Son didn't play. Bale and Lamella. Sorry, Bale, Son didn't play. Lamella did. He played incredibly well that night, Lamella. He's someone I think you need to not only watch out for his finishing, but just in general, his ability on the ball. It's something I tend to worry about with Spurs. And I mean, we'll come more of it in the preview this weekend, of course. But what we'll have with compared to tonight and with Saturdays, that with tonight, we sort of prepared for Sunday in a way because of the way Granada played tonight, playing deep, giving United little, to work with on the edge of the penalty area. We will tend to see similar patterns of that on Sunday, just the difference being it is the Premier League and there's an increased level of there's an increased level of importance applied to this game, more or less on Tottenham than it is United. I would say it's not important for Man United, but if I do, I feel we're gonna probably get whipped on Sunday. But yeah, Mourinho has, I'm sure, extensively planned for this, as has Oli. But Oli will think it in his mind that 6-1 will be there, and he thinks, well, if we're going to improve on this scoreline, it's just not lose the game. If we go there and win, however, and there's been a few that have done it this season, to say the least, at their ground. Only Liverpool, I also watched them play there this season, tore them apart after taking the lead. They just looked so much more confident on the ball in the second half. And so when Spurs started to struggle and made mistakes in the midfield, didn't really retain possession as they should do, Liverpool exploited them. And while United won't have a similar style of play to Liverpool, they will do what they can to just limit Tottenham in one end of the field and try and exploit them in the other in the end. That's how I feel. I hope it'll go out. But we'll see what happens on Sunday.
Well, they against Newcastle, you've probably seen this, they gave Newcastle an XG of 4, which is just ridiculous. I mean, it's obscene. And ultimately, when you're playing a Jose Mourinho, well, actually, that's unfair. When you used to play a Jose Mourinho team before, you'd be terrified regardless. You'd be thinking you were in big trouble. It was always, for me, hardest game of the season used to be Chelsea away every year when he was there. It was terrifying. Now, you go and play Tottenham, and if you score first, you've won, I think. And even if they score first, it's like they just sit back so much. They'll score after like 2-3 minutes or 10 minutes or whenever it is. And they sit back for ages and mess it up. I've seen quite a few of their games this season. Newcastle, that happened twice, where they sat back on a lead and drew. Happened against Wolves as well. Happened against Arsenal, didn't it? and it's just a constant thing. And I just like a couple of my friends are Tottenham fans, and I just genuinely feel a bit sorry for them now because it's just they're literally going through what we had to experience before, and it's
But
just
we did warn them. That's the
we did.
troublesome thing. We did warn them.
Yeah, we did. Everything that's going on, all this stuff he's saying about same coach, different players. Come on, mate. Come on. Harry Kane, Son, all these guys, really top players. He said when he took the job that he had better players at Tottenham than at Manchester United. And now suddenly
Do you know what? In my honest opinion, Mourinho has United in the end have a better team. Let's remember the key word United here have is team. A team that can at times they can be individually brilliant, but there are days where they become a team, right? What he has is similar talent, which he calls a team, but at times don't play like it. And the exception to the rule is those who play under Pochettino. They played like a team when he was manager. What let them down in the end were the consistent performances against various opponents, such as like Zagreb this season, Liverpool. Last away, they drew 3-3. Yeah, and that night I learned a lot about them. They played even the second string, and that didn't look anywhere near as good. So, frankly, for me, I felt they were very short of something this season to be able to even go far in competitions. Yes, they're in a cup final, and it's all they really got to play for, along with getting into the top 4 this season. But for me, it'll really... they're not helping themselves, I'd say, as a club when they do have games like the Zagreb game and giving the fans a reason to be angry because of how devoid of quality they were that night. They played their best team and everything and still get eliminated in such an unfashionable manner. In the end, I feel like behind the scenes at Spurs, there are a few that are not happy with the nature of how they were eliminated from the competition. And it would have been a big priority for them playing in Europe this year, knowing that next year they may not be able to get into the Champions League where they really feel they should be. So we'll learn a lot. Again, we're going to learn a lot more about what they're planning, what their plans are in terms of pursuing the top 4 and how United will treat them on Saturday. But that's for the preview if everyone's wondering what I'm talking about Saturday for. But shifting the focus onto United again, it's a big game once again. Ollie loves playing as a top 6. We still have to play 3 more teams in the top 6 before the end of the season. Who knows? Between now and May, we would have wrapped up top 4 and secured our spot in the Champions League, so we can put all our eggs in the basket to win a Europa League this season. But I have to stress, it won't be easy in the next month or so at all. So
I'll tell you what I'm worried about. Burnley at home. Can we just not do that? Terrified. I'm not even being sarcastic. I'm genuinely really worried about it. We've not won there. We've not won at home to Burnley since I was about 9.
Oh wow!
I'm now 21.
The last time Manchester United beat Burnley, to be precise, you were not 9, Alexi. It was actually a little sooner than that. It was in 2015. I think it was when Percy scored the 3rd in a 3-0 win. I think it was that score. Yeah. It was a while ago. We beat them convincingly. But
about
so that...
school, we've not beaten Burnley.
Well, look, so 15-16, we didn't play them, they were relegated. 16-17, we drew. 17-18, we drew. 18-19, we drew. Last season, we lost. So, yeah, this last 4 games against Burnley at home, we have failed to beat them. It seems that Sean Dyche is an enigma to Old Trafford for some reason. He loves playing against us there. But, again, like I said, if United were in a position of, if United were in a position of, vulnerability. Like, let's say right now, United were not safe in the top 4, and after Spurs and this next week's second leg, we would probably have been a little bit more worried about playing Burnley, in my opinion. Only then you'd be worried because of the way we could possibly struggle if the game, let's say 4 points, the gap between top second and fourth, I'd kind of faltering a little bit this season, or the gap because the teams are so good, the gap points so high, gap so close. If it was like that, then I'd understand the nature of worry. But we can't really think about that game too much. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. There's a lot of big games on the horizon.
One thing, though, sorry to jump in. One thing we'll just add. If we win our next 4 games against Spurs, Burnley, Leeds and Liverpool, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would have surpassed Jose Mourinho's first, I think it's 100 games as manager or something. In terms of
points in terms of his first 100 games as manager. That's not bad. That's not bad from Solskjaer at all. But, I mean, we'll win. We will probably win 4 more games this season. I hope more than that with our running. But I think... I feel like we're just now getting to that point where as fans, we only care about just completing our position in the league and securing our Champions League spot. And then when it comes to playing on Thursday nights as we do and showing off why we should be the best team in the Europa League, which we clearly have been for this period of time we've been in the competition, I feel personally that this season's starting to just peter out a little bit, and it will only matter again when we get to Gdansk. If we don't, then it's a whole different kettle of fish altogether, which we have to kind of work out. But let's just say right now, I feel like, for me, in my opinion, I think the season's just starting slowly but surely to come to its head. Not that I don't want it to. I think, without Man United, it's a depressing one. Even though we have the Euros and all that this year, I think we're probably going to see a few interesting games, a few interesting scorelines between now and the end of the season. Win, loss, or draw, doesn't matter how they go. Yeah. But I'll be shocked if I don't see a few more fringe plays in the games, such as Burnley, Fulham, any teams near the bottom half of the table. I would not be surprised to see a few of the fringe players in the team giving Donny a start or two as well. Would be a good shout. I would love to see him start a couple of games just to see how much in the Premier League, to see how much more he can learn about being the main man. And really, just more or less just doing what we can to secure top 4. And once we've done that, I feel like we have little to worry about in that front. So we'll just see our season out and try and get to the final and win this competition. Because it just gets to that point. We get to April, suddenly, squeaky bum time normally. But United are 11 points clear of 5th, which is the place which is just outside the Europa League, Champions League places. We don't want to be 5th. We shouldn't be there at all. We've done a good job to being where we are this season. I feel like we've done a lot of our hard work already. Part of me wants to write off the season. Part of me doesn't, because you never know. But
I mean, if we messed up top 4 now, I don't think I'd just give it a rest from now on. I just wouldn't bother anymore, honestly.
I would suggest we go hiding in a cave, to be honest, and not come out until it's safe again. That's the next best thing.
Take up cricket or something, different sport. Golf. I hope golf's good.
I'd go back and watch cycling again. That's my second primary sport. Formula 1 as well. Those are fun. Although it's dominated by one team as well, so that's a problem. But frankly, I see potential in our season finishing well if we can perform well between now and May the 29th. But we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see, really. We have to wait and see because...
Sorry, this is really random. Do you not find it crazy the season's already over already?
I do, actually.
It's gone really fast, hasn't it?
To think we started in October and we are now here, April the 8th, with just about 7 odd weeks of football in the Premier League and European competitions left. Not just for us, but for everybody else in England. A lot of teams have more games than us, of course. We're talking the Cities and Liverpools and co. I mean, I think only Man City have the most game. City and Chelsea have the most games left out of anyone because they're still in the FA Cup and in the Champions League. City have a cup final, so they have the most games left out of anyone in the league. I do see that with United season it's petering out a little bit, just because we really just have one priority and everything else is kind of, well, meh, really. What can you do? We just got to hope.
Good position to be in, isn't it?
It is. And while we don't like being second, if, say, we were in a title race right now, we wouldn't be saying these things. Personally, I feel we can learn a lot from this season, as a lot of people have said. A lot can be learned from this season. Solskjaer should renew his contracts, because it seems that it's going to happen any day now. They're just making they're just going to do that little thing where they pull out some PR stunt to, make it look good. But outside of that, we just have to wait and see, really. That's all we can realistically do. Excuse me. That's all we can realistically do. So, back to tonight. Man of the match is Bruno Fernandes. Do you have any suggestions as to what stood out for you this evening?
I can't even remember now. Sorry. It's only an hour.
We've all gone blank. That's why I've changed the topic, because there's really not much to talk about. This is normally a match review, but there's so little to gloss over in terms of United.
I can't remember much of what happened now, because it was quite uneventful. I'll give it to
I remember a man running naked across the pitch. I do remember that happening.
That was wild, wasn't it?
I'm shocked I haven't given it to him, to be honest. I'm going to be a streaker in the first 6 minutes.
I think man of the match is between the fantastic cameraman on BT Sport or the streaker. And
I would say the people at Movistar in Spain, I might have to contact them tomorrow as to how they missed that opening goal.
Movistar, yeah. So I think they deserve special accolades for just such a fantastic job they did tonight. They made me really get my money's worth for my £20 month I pay for BT Sport. Sorry, I don't know why I'm going on a rant at a TV company, but I sat there for half an hour before it started watching Jake Humphrey and Owen Hargreaves, and I like Paul Scholes, but discuss this game. You watch the build-up. The build-up's not very good. I like Paul Scholes. The others aren't good. You sit there, right? You've wanted to watch this game all day. You sat there. It's a pretty dull game, and then the one thing that happens, they miss. It's just crazy. But sorry, this is the longest answer ever to man of the match. I'm just going on tangents now.
It's all right.
I will go for Victor Lindelof, because he kept a clean sheet and he provided such a stupendous assist. I think Victor Lindelof deserves it.
All right. Can't object to that, really. He did play very well tonight. It was one of his better games this season, where he has been, on occasions, quite suspect, but I can't disagree with that. He's definitely played a part in keeping a clean sheet away from home in the Europa League. And ultimately, I think United coming out unscathed was probably the right thing in the grand scheme of things. We just have to pray now next week we don't have to get Turkey as a sword and fall behind so quickly. Then that's more or less the priority. Securing our spot in the last four, and then focusing on how our season should move on from there. But I guess there really isn't much else to argue on that front. But yeah, highlights of our games coming on now on our national provider. So I'm going to watch those. Alexi, as always, it's been a great pleasure having you on. Sadly, we didn't get any guests on, which is strange. But we do, as always, give the link out before shows. But as always, it's been good to all those who've tuned in. Thank you very much. If you watched it on YouTube, I hope you have to like for us. And if you haven't subscribed already, I don't know what you're doing. On Saturday, I've got a transfer video coming out. If you don't hit about 20 likes, I won't bring it out. So give me 20, and I'll bring you a transfer window video on Saturday, starting with the defenders, and then we'll progress on throughout the day, throughout the week on forwards, midfielders, etc., etc. But that's enough from me and actually tonight. It's been a pleasure again bringing it to you. As always, follow us on Twitter and on all the socials on the bottom right. And I forgot to put the links in, but if you're watching us on Twitter, also please give us a follow. I need a lemon sip and a cold rest because I've been feeling a little under the weather recently, and I need to be fresh for tomorrow. Adios, everyone. Take care. United win again in the Europa League. We seem to have forgotten about the game because it was just so boring.
I've completely forgotten what happened.
yeah, I'm so happy I'm watching the highlights again to remind myself. All right, everyone. Till Saturday, Cam will host the preview for Tottenham. We'll have hopefully a Spurs guest on as well. I hope on Saturday. But outside of that, we'll have the review on Sunday as usual. Until then, from me and Alexi, it's good night.